Every friend group has Minecraft lore, and if yours doesn't, well, you need to spin up a server and get some. Today, I want to tell you a story. The story of the Omnia League Minecraft servers. This is a tale of friendship and war, alliances and betrayal, magic and machinery. But before we begin, just in case you're wondering, the Omnia League is a Discord server that I founded in 2017 with my friend Ant. It's a gaming and anime community that's become a tight friend group over the years. A lot of us have been friends for well over half a decade now. Even though we've been around since 2017, our story for today actually begins a few years later. It was March of 2020. Like many around the world, the lockdown from the pandemic was beginning to affect everyone, and no one knew how long we'd be stuck inside. Server member SpeechBite approached Shord with the idea of starting a small modded Minecraft server. Shord is our resident tech guy in the community. He's the one you go to if you have a computer question, want to install Linux, or accidentally delete your entire .minecraft folder and need it restored. Don't ask me how I know about that last one. But most importantly, he knows how to run a Minecraft server and can run it optimally, so he was able to spin up a modded server pretty quick for us. While it was only meant to be around for a bit and only be open to a few people, lots on the server ended up playing. We refer to this server as Season 1. You know, since it's the first one. Season 1 was played on the popular mod pack called the 1.12.2 pack, a diverse mod pack that aims to have a little bit of everything, ranging from magic, technology, nuclear missiles, farming, everything you can imagine. Season 1 had players split off into 3 teams. Team Rats, Team Eggman, and later Team Dono. Team Rats consisted of SpeechBite, Rinri, Kung Fu Cutman, BKZ, Vex Ace, and Bidoofus. They would each specialize in a different area. Speech and Bidoofus would specialize in magic, while Rinri and Vex would specialize in technology. Kung Fu would be the farmer, and BKZ would he had a house that he lived in. Team Eggman was a duo that consisted of Shord and Maria. Both of them specialized in technology. And Team Dono would join the server later, and it consisted of myself, Eli, and Auntie Ann. The team would also focus primarily on technology, though they wouldn't get as far as the others. The server started off mostly peaceful. There was a little bit of conflict amongst the groups, but nothing really major.
A tool called the Atomic Disassembler was discovered from the Mechanism mod. This item served as a multi-purpose tool acting as a sword, pick, shovel, axe, etc. and even had features like Extended Vein Miner, which would allow players to destroy several blocks at once. This would prove to be a very useful tool to players during Season 1 and beyond.
While the server never broke out into a war, it certainly almost did. Team Eggman would antagonize other server members on different teams, specifically Maria, who would attack anyone on Team Dono who came too close to their base, which would often crash their game and lead to frustration as the members of the team's computers could just barely run the mod pack, and starting it up took a good 20 minutes for them. Shord wasn't really aware of the damage Maria was causing and continued to work underground, developing missile technology with Maria mostly with the intent of self-defense and experimentation. However, Maria would begin making public threats to the other teams. Meanwhile, the Rats were thriving and had become the most successful team in the area. With an ME system, a nuclear reactor, and cable television, they were unstoppable. SpeechBite focused on his magic, developing what he referred to as the hole spell, which would create a temporary hole to the void underneath its target. Speech would use this for some light trolling, but never anything too malicious. Eventually, it was made known that Maria had actually created a nuclear-powered missile, causing Speech to go in and steal it, much to the dismay of Maria. Eventually, Shord did some calculations, and it turns out if Maria had launched the missile like she intended, it would have just blown up in the base before making it to the air. These events would conclude Season 1, and while it might seem uneventful, what happened in this season would have a direct effect on the future. After the events of Season 1, there was a demand for a permanent Minecraft server with a more casual tone for the Omnia League. So, a vanilla Minecraft server was created and an era of peace would occur. This server would host the Hub, a floating island in the sky that would be used to connect to different worlds, such as the survival world and the minigame world. The actual survival world was one filled with no animosity. A central town was established with shops like a blacksmith and a bakery. The minigame server would be host to games of Skywars and Spleef, all held in good fun.
Now I'm going to pass it over to Short, who's going to take over the next segment of the video.
The Omnia Awards are an quote-unquote annual award show put on by members of the Omnia League community that celebrate the achievements of server members. While not directly tied into the Minecraft story, they do become important later on. The conclusion of the 2020 awards takes place in the spawn town from the first vanilla server.
Shortly after the first Omnia Awards, a new modded season would be started, this time with everyone there from the beginning. Members of Team Dono did not like that it was named after Dono, but they couldn't come up with anything better, so they became known as the Team with No Name, or TTWNN. Team Eggman splits up, with Short going to the Rats and Maria forming her own team. After the events of Season 1, no one was really sure what was going to happen in the next modded server, but one thing for sure was that no one trusted anyone. Season 2 from the get-go was designed as an anything-goes competitive world, with a custom mod pack made by Short. You were allowed to do anything you wanted, so long as you weren't cheating or intentionally lagging the server out.
After the events of Season 1, the Team with No Name leans on the side of caution and decides to not tell anyone outside of their group where their base was. While Maria's team headed west, the Rats northeast. The Team with No Name opted to build their base directly underneath spawn. A risky play that had its advantages, like quick access to public structures. Notably, the spawn runway, a neutral place that anyone will be able to safely take off from with their planes, and meet up for various purposes. The Rats developed the ability to build and fly planes quite early on, and started deploying them to transport the members around for mining and spy missions. Another use for the planes, especially early on, was to transport new members from spawn all the way to their island, by then dubbed New Orb Land. This didn't always go smoothly, however, and this story will prove just how dangerous of a place Spawn Runway really was. It was still quite early in the season, and a new member, BKZ, was about to join the Rats. The Rats agreed that BKZ should stay around Spawn Runway until a pilot could fly out and pick him up. Spawn Runway at the time wasn't lit, and it took about 8 minutes to fly from New Orbland all the way to the runway. This proved problematic for BKZ, as when the pilot started his journey for the runway, the sun was already setting. By the time the plane arrived, BKZ was struggling to stay away from hostile mobs that had surrounded the runway. BKZ's presence wasn't just noticed by hostile mobs, however, and he was spotted by opposing team leader Maria. Maria kept her distance though. It went unnoticed while the plane made its landing. The pilot, noticing the perilous situation BKZ was in, got out of his plane to assist BKZ. BKZ had fled the runway by then to keep away from the mobs. This left the plane unattended. Maria, still not noticed by either Rats member, saw what was going on and quietly approached the plane. By the time Maria was seen by the Rats members, it was already too late. She got in and had take off with it. Maria flew away, leaving the two Rats team members thousands of blocks away from home with no way to get back but walk. After a long journey, BKZ had finally arrived at Neo Orbland, but this was short-lived. BKZ, not having set a spawn point, died unexpectedly, bringing him all the way back to spawn. BKZ was not seen on the server for the rest of the season. The Rats team never removed BKZ's gravestone, keeping it as a memorial. Dono started griefing the spawn runway in an attempt to sabotage the other teams. This, however, would backfire, as Bedoofus would soon discover who was behind the griefing, and also whose base lies right below spawn. The Team with No Name decided to trust Bedoofus, but that lasted maybe a few minutes as their base was quickly discovered by other factions. While there was no immediate threat, Dono was suspicious of speech, however, so he instructed his team to pack up and leave.